Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel, where everything you're about to hear and see has been done in one take. I'm your host, the One Take Man. About 15 years ago, as of the time of this video's publication, X-Men Origins Wolverine was released. It is widely regarded as the worst movie of the X-Men film franchise and one of the worst superhero movies ever made. I am not going to sit here and tell you that it is actually secretly a masterpiece. The video title alone should have told you that that is not the case. However, it has been brought to my attention that there are actually some elements to it that would make for a decent movie if they were used more effectively. And so that is the point of this video, to take those elements of the movie and figure out how to most effectively emphasize them as I describe how I would remake X-Men Origins Wolverine. There are two things of note here before I go any further. The first one is I am not talking about remaking this movie for a current audience. Rather, I am looking at the state of the X-Men film franchise at the time this movie would have been in pre-production, and trying to figure out how to most effectively use this movie to to revive it, to give it to give it a second lease on life, so to speak. The second thing of note is that I am not going to go in depth on what the movie is going to include, so if you're expecting a scene-by-scene breakdown, you're not going to get it here. Though, if you look at the length of this video, you probably already knew that. Still, I wanted to give that disclaimer out of the way before I delve any further. The first thing of note is that I should perhaps specify what aspects of the original movie I would want to bring into into my remake. The first thing that I would want to keep is the cast, because overall, the people who have been cast within this movie do a great job at showcasing the strengths and defining features of each character. I will admit, I am a little bit peeved that Liev Schreiber, who plays Sabretooth in this movie, looks nothing like Tyler Mane, who played Sabretooth in the first X-Men movie. But really, that's really just a pet peeve. When looking at his role and his performance within the movie as a whole, he is very much the best. He's very much the best actor for the part. The second thing that I want to the remake to also include is the opening credits montage, and maybe even the pre-credits scene as well, because I think those facets of the movie are for the most part either well made or are quite simply and eloquently capable of displaying the brutality of what it is that these characters have gone through over the course of their lives. And it is that brutality that I want to make the sorry about that I want to make the thesis statement of this movie. And I will do so by also bringing out two other aspects of it. Namely, and those two other aspects being the action opener and the medical military experimentation angle, which when you look at its importance for X-Men Origins Wolverine, is strangely underemphasized, if you actually think about it. Anyway, now that I've gotten these basic elements out of the way, it's time I look into what I would add to them, or what I would change about what was what I would change from the initial makeup of the movie. The first thing of note is I would give it a better title, one that more directly refers to what's actually going on in the movie itself. And my suggestion for that would be Wolverine Origins. So really decouple this movie's narrative from the narrative of from the movie of the previous films within the franchise, and simply utilize the setting in order to in order to build up characters that future movies could be could be built around. Second thing of note actually builds upon one of the things that I want to keep from the initial movie, namely the action opener. While that action opener is a strong scene in and of itself, I think those characters and their performances uh, have a greater potential than that scene really allows them to present, and which the rest of the movie doesn't really delve effectively enough into. So in my remake, rather than the action opener simply being simply being uh, being being in and of itself and that's it would instead be the first mission in a full-on Black Ops campaign, and the point of which would be to gather to gather the thing which would be for Wolverine and his unit to gather this thing which, unbeknownst to them, is called adamantium. Uh, the campaign would go relatively well up until the last mission, which would turn out to be an absolute disaster. And because of that, and because their last mission would have been an absolute disaster, and they would have they would have them to some extent squandered their last chance, they would instead be brought to the black site at Alkali Lake, and it is there that they would be listed alongside other mutants as part of the Weapon X program, where they would be tested and experimented upon. So yeah, it's another facet of there's another facet of that brutality that I've been talking about. One that is somewhat less cathartic, but nevertheless uh, deeply meaningful to their to their personal narratives. Uh, once he is at Alkali Lake, Wolverine will have figured out that the reason the last mission was a failure was because a member of his unit betrayed the rest, and therefore when he is not being tested or experimented upon, he would try to figure out which of these which member of his unit actually betrayed them and caused the mission to fail. Uh, I think it would perhaps also make sense to include some flashbacks to various moments within the uh, opening credits montage. Uh, where we would see Wolverine and Sabretooth interacting, not just interacting in not just in charges, but also in less formal conditions, and establish more of their personal rivalry and one-upmanship. What kind the kind of maybe take a better look in the kind of kinship that they would have developed. And that was what would keep Wolverine busy throughout this movie. The rest of his unit, maybe not all of them, but some of them, would instead cozy up with Gambit, who would be one of the mutants who already was at Alkali Lake, and who will have managed to leverage his charisma in order to gain various favors with the guards, and is secretly planning a breakout, but keep it on the down low. Of course, Gambit would not be the only guy who's thinking about breaking out. Pretty much everyone would to some extent. However, and I would not exclude the possibility of the movie even including some failed attempts, maybe even one by Wolverine himself. Who knows? Regardless of whether or not he actually does try to break out, Wolverine still ends up, getting injected with adamantium. However, just before he gets injected, the penny finally drops. Through his searching, through his investigation, through the flashbacks that he's been getting, he ultimately realizes that it was actually Sabretooth who betrayed his unit, and it is that thought of revenge that ultimately keeps him from that ultimately keeps him let's say awake as he is injected with adamantium, and it is that and it keeps him injected with adamantium, and it gives him the motivation to finally break out of containment when he's no longer strapped down, which would cause a greater commotion within the base itself or the facility itself, and it would be that commotion that Gambit would use in order for his breakout to take place. As you might have been able to figure out so far, this movie will have included plenty of action scenes so far. However, this breakout is very much supposed to be the not just the climax, but the culmination, the centerpiece of the movie, where you'll have various prisoners getting their getting some establishing character moments, maybe even getting revenge on some of their handlers, and in general, maybe the facility itself being used, and even its equipment being used in order to amp up the tension and expand upon the development of the action set piece. If you remember the money shot from the cabin in the woods and the sequence that came after that, that's kind of what I have in mind for this movie, except slowed down and really allowed to breathe, to stand on its own as a major and impressive action sequence. The culmination of that, I think, would make the most sense for it to be a fight between Wolverine and Sabretooth, who, because of the manipulations of the people surrounding them, would both be without their memories, so they would not exactly know why they're fighting, but they both think they're in the right because again, the idea being brutality, and because they've known this, and because they have been exposed to specific instances of brutality for all their lives, that's all they know, and they also aim it against each other because aside from the brutality around them, they also have their own internal brutality to contend with, and in many ways, their story in the comics is that Sabretooth very much often gives into it, whereas Wolverine is more controlled about it. And yeah, that is why I think this fight would be the most fitting conclusion for the set piece of the movie, or for its centerpiece. The conclusion of the movie as a whole would perhaps be the same as one would expect. The Alkali Lake base gets abandoned. Wolverine is lost in the woods, wandering somewhere, and the franchise has a whole bunch of established characters that can show up in a lot of future movies in a whole variety of roles. And yeah, that is my proposal for a potential remake of X-Men Origins Wolverine. Thank you for your attention. If you enjoyed it, well then please like the video, maybe even share it wherever you think other people will also like the video. If there is anything you'd like to add, either to the initial movie or to my remake suggestions, that's what the comment section is for. And if you want to see when my next video gets released, well then, please subscribe. And ideally also ring the bell or do whatever else YouTube will ask of you in order to keep you notified. I also have a main channel where I talk about book-related and literature topics, hence why I have these books over here. A link to which you can find in the description down below, right past my social media links, which I also suggest you check out, should you choose to. Additionally, you have the option of supporting me on Patreon, where depending on the level at which you pledge, you will receive various perks, the specifics of which I will allow you to discover for yourselves if you find that they actually interest you. Until next time, I have been the One Take Man.